Welcome, listeners. This is the Witching Hour, and in today's episode, we're going to be doing a part two to Campfire Stories. I'm the Ghoulish Gentleman, and I'm here with my partner.
Orbit Morticia.
And in case you haven't seen our first episode of Campfire Stories, what Campfire Stories is me and Miss Morticia here. We read 3 short horror stories that we find across the internet, and in the end, we rank them and discuss them from least scary to the most terrifying. And with that being said, we're going to transition over to our first story here. So Miss Morbid Morticia is going to take it away.
Okay, so my first story, it's named Strange Call, and the user is Old Marine 932. Last year around winter time, I was at home with my brother in our room and it was 11:34 p.m. I was playing Xbox at the time that I got the call. I looked at my phone and the phone number was 666 and it was from Brazil. I don't answer, but I tell my brother he didn't care that much and wanted me to answer it, but I never did. I was a little bit scared. I don't know why, but either way, I keep playing Xbox 10 minutes after the call. I get another one. This time is from my friend, and I was confused because this time he would have been sleeping, but I answered and I say hello. Then it answered in a deep voice and it said,
"Can you help me? I'm in trouble with someone. Can you call me 3 minutes after this ends?"
Then the call ended and I called after 3 minutes passed, no answer. I was shaking, scared. My brother was confused and told me to calm down. The next day I called my friend back. He said that he was sleeping and sent me a picture of his call log, and it showed that the call never happened for the next days. I was scared.
All right. And for my story is called Escaped. And the story is by C.T. Platt. As the storm raged, a man stopped to pick up a hitchhiker. The scruffy man standing by the roadside was soaked to the skin. He seemed reluctant to talk. Just who was he, and where was he headed? The rain was falling heavily. It was like driving through a thick curtain of water. He eased off the accelerator a little. Had to be careful driving on wild nights like these. The last thing you want is to have an accident or break down. You just want to be at home on these stormy nights. The thwack, thwack of the windscreen wipers was hypnotic. He stared out in the glow of the headlights. The rain sounded like white noise interference as it battered the car. He was reminded of the opening scenes of a Hitchcock film. Through the wash of the rain, he spotted a figure at the side of the road. The person wore a green parka and their thumb jerked out. Why on earth would anyone be hitchhiking tonight? Surely you would just stay put until the morning. They must have been in a rush to get to where they were going. He signaled down and pulled over. The hitchhiker climbed in. He shut the door quickly, glad to be out of the rain. He pulled his hood back and sighed. He was somewhere in his mid-20s and had wild red hair and a thick beard. "Awful night, eh?" said the driver. The hitchhiker held his gaze for a long moment. Drops of rainwater trickled down his face. Yes it is. The driver pulled out and continued through the storm. The hitcher glanced over his shoulder into the blackness behind him. "You okay?" The hitcher simply nodded. They drove on in silence for a short while. The BBC radio phone and blaring out from the car's speakers filled in for conversation. They listened to the radio and their own thoughts as they moved on. "Where are you headed?" asked the driver. "North," the hitcher pointed. "Are you traveling to visit friends?" The driver couldn't tell if that was a yes or a no. He adjusted his tie nervously. The hitcher stared at him in his suit and tie. The hitcher seemed scruffy in comparison in his parka and Pink Floyd t-shirt. "Do you work around here?" asked the hitcher. "Yes," said the driver. "I was stuck late at the office. You know how it is." "No, not really." Again, they drifted into silence. The talk radio show carried on as they drove through the wind and rain. The hitcher shifted in his seat and stared out the window screen. No music? The hitcher asked. What? Is there no music we could listen to? I like the talk radio shows. I'm not really a music fan. The hitcher's eyes glazed over for a moment. Then he spoke. I like listening to music. It calms me down. The driver said nothing. Several miles later, there was a news bulletin on the radio. The reporter tried to remain professional as she read the announcement.
We're getting reports that a patient has escaped from a Manchester psychiatric institution. The man is said to be psychopathic and is said to have a history of murder.
The hitcher jabbed a finger on the button on the radio panel. Tiny pop music blurted out from the speakers. The driver stared at his passenger, his question unasked. I hate the news, answered the hitcher. It's so depressing, it brings me down. There's never any good news, is there? The driver did not reply. Don't worry, I'm not the killer, said the hitcher, fidgeting with his coat. No, said the driver. No, of course you aren't. They drove on listening to the crappy pop music and overexcited radio DJs. The rain pounded on the car. What do you do for a living? Asked the driver. The hitcher was quiet for a moment, then he grinned. I'm a writer. Really? How interesting. Have you had anything published? No, as yet I'm an undiscovered artist. I'm sure you'll make it. What are you working on at the moment? I'm writing a novel. Yes? It's about a serial killer. The driver did not speak. He flicked the talk radio station back on. The man was rambling on with himself about the change in days. His wheelie bins were emptied. Where can I drop you? Asked the driver. The hitcher said nothing. When the driver glanced around, his passenger had his eyes closed. He was either asleep or feigning slumber. They drove on through the storm down the snaking lanes. An hour later, the storm still growled and raged. The hitcher looked out the window. The driver steered the car in silence. Another news bulletin came over the radio. We're getting more information on the escaped patient. The killer's name is Simon Hughes. He escaped from the Green Pastures Institute earlier this evening. He's extremely dangerous and completely unpredictable. Simon Hughes made his escape by changing from his hospital-issued uniform into a suit and tie, and pretending to be one of the medical staff. He stole a car and drove off. The hitcher turned to the driver. What did you say your name was? My name is Simon. The hitcher stared in shock. Simon grinned. The headlights of a passing car glinted off the knife blade in Simon's hand.
That was a really creepy story. The title of this story is called A Story from When I Was a Kid by John Creek Official. When I was around the age of 12 to 14, I remember learning that a kid killed himself. I saw a picture of him and I felt like I've seen him before. Later, I kept seeing a person who looks just like him in the halls of my school. But I never saw him in lunch of recess, and he would always turn down a hall and disappear. I tried telling people I see him in the halls, but they all think I'm insane. I then saw him walk in the bathroom and I said his name. He had no response. He walked out and disappeared. My parents soon learned and asked if I was friends with him. I said I didn't know him very well, and they took me to the person to help me with my thought. They always looked at me weirdly like I was some kind of thing. I went back to school and I kept seeing him go down the same hall. I then started to give up and continue with my life. Then it was the near of the end of the year and the kid I thought killed himself asked me, "How are you doing?" I was in shock and I didn't say anything. He then walked away and I never saw him again.
Alright, so now for my next story. This story is called I'm Calling to Inform You, and this was posted by Neon Tempo. Hello?
Hi, is this Karen Maitland?
Speaking.
Hey, I'm really sorry for calling so late. It's just, I know your daughter?
Is that okay?
Oh, no, your other. I go to community college with Sarah.
Oh, okay, wow. Whereabouts are you?
Chicago.
Chicago?
From your reaction, I'm guessing Sarah's always been a bit of a lone wolf character.
Yeah, you could say that. But I mean, it's great to hear she has friends over there. Can I ask what this is about?
Well, I'm actually calling to ask if you've been in touch with Sarah recently.
No, not really. She sort of broke contact a while ago. I've always told her if she wanted to. I haven't changed my phone number just in case, but I think she's probably changed hers by now.
I'm sorry. That does sound like her. Well, listen, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but Sarah's been reported missing.
What? What are you missing? For how long?
Almost 3 days.
3 days? Okay. I mean, what's happening? Are people looking for her?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they really are. I mean, you know she likes to keep to herself, so she didn't really have any close friends. And she was always sort of prone to absences. I mean, it's not like no one's noticed. I told the police, but they've hardly looked into it.
But that's. She was a little antisocial. That doesn't mean they don't have to. Listen, can you tell me the name of your campus? I'll fly over tonight. I can be there by tomorrow morning.
Sure, it's the Westgate campus. I was just calling to let you know, but honestly, it's really great to hear someone actually take this seriously.
Of course. Thank you so much for telling me. I really appreciate it.
No, honestly, it's me who should be thanking you. I've done this a few times before, but it isn't fun if no one cares.
Sorry? What do you mean?
Hello?
That was a really good story. On to my last one. This one is called My Deadly Creeper Encounter by dear_ad489. I was 18 at the time and was at a local park, and this homeless people kept coming to me saying things like,
Get out of the park while you still can.
and
Watch your surroundings, boy.
this was extremely creepy and all, but it wasn't until after the 15th or 18th person to come up to me did I get the urge to leave. He/she said,
The Green Reaper is getting awfully close to you.
this freaked me out, and I left the park. An hour later, I watched the news, and on the news was a shooting and kidnapping occurred blank park. I was really freaked out because this was the park I was at earlier. And the scariest part about it, it happened 5 minutes after I left the park. A total of 5 people had been shot, 1 kidnapped, 3 of the shot were in critical, the other 2 were killed via headshot. After this happened, I began wearing a level 2 bulletproof vest under a hoodie when I'm going to leave the house for long periods of time. And carry a handgun in the vest. Yes, I have concealed carry papers and license for the gun. The point of the story is why I'm posting is to let people know when your homeless people are starting being creepy, it's best to head home.
Alright, and now for my final story. This one is called Uncle Tommy's Visit. This was posted by Rydell. Now remember, I don't want you talking to him unless I'm around. You hear? Yes, Dad. I'm serious. Not tucking your shirt. He's here. The front door swung open and there stood Uncle Tommy, drenched in sweat from a day's work in the summer heat. It's a scorcher out there, ain't it? He said, putting his bag on the floor and untying his boots. I appreciate you letting me crash for the night. Just so long as you're gone in the morning, my dad replied coldly. Of course. Now, Uncle Tommy said, turning to me and lowering himself to a knee. Where's my hug at? Been a while since I seen you last. I took a couple steps toward him and leaned in for a hug. His tight embrace made me uncomfortable and I let out a light whimper. Don't you know it's 100 degrees out there? He asked, tugging at my long sleeves. I haven't been outside today, I recited to him. Don't you have some chores to finish up? Dad interjected. I knew that was my cue to leave, so I shuffled off to my room. Later that night, I lay in bed, tossing and turning, unable to be comfortable, when I heard the thud of footsteps in the hallway outside my bedroom. After several long seconds of silence, the door opened. The dark silhouette of a man entered the room, and the door closed again. For several more seconds, there was nothing but unrelenting silence. I might have thought I had dreamt it all if it weren't for the sound of a hushed breath being carefully released. I could feel him getting nearer. The warmth of another person in the room was unfamiliar at this hour. I was not prepared for this. I prayed he would go away, to even come back in the morning if he must. He reached down and touched me. He rolled me onto my stomach and lifted up my shirt. From the corner of my eye, I could see two things: the faint beam of a pocket flashlight and Uncle Tommy's eyes studying my bare skin. His rough fingers ran up and down my back. Suddenly, he got up and walked to the bedroom door and left. I tried again to fall asleep, eventually succeeding. He was gone by the time I awoke. Around noon, the phone rang while my father was out. Hello? I answered.
Hey, buddy.
Uncle Tommy?
Yeah. Your dad around?
No, sir. He went to the store.
Good.
He said, his voice a bit shaky. He was silent for a moment.
I'm calling about last night. I don't know if you were awake or not.
I was.
Well, then I'll just get right to it. I've got a question for you, and I need you to be honest with me. Can you do that?
Yes, sir.
How'd you get all them bruises?
So those were my 3, and those were Miss Morticia's 3. Now, if I had to rank mine, I would have to say Uncle Tommy's visit would be number 1. Did not expect that twist.
Yeah.
Just sitting here thinking, oh, I don't think we're meant to be reading this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, witching hours canceled.
I was like, wait, what's going on? I was kind of starting to get worried for you. Like, oh no, he needs to stop reading.
But I had a good twist. Well, I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah.
That would be my number 1. My number 2, I would have to say Escaped, the short story by C.T. Platt. That was a good one. I liked the build-up for that.
Yeah.
The story like leading up to finding out that some psychopath is on the loose and you think it's a hitchhiker, but it turns out to be the driver.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That was a good twist.
That was a good one.
Mm-hmm. And last but not least, I'm calling to inform you. That one was short but sweet. Not really scary per se, but I guess like if you're thinking real life scenario, like getting a call like that, then it'd be like, okay, that's messed up. Now that's scary.
Yeah. So yeah, my top 3, I would say the first one would probably be a story from when I was a kid. That's the one with the ghost at the school. Only because here where I live, there's this school that supposedly is haunted. The middle school. And supposedly like this girl hung herself in the girls' locker room.
Okay.
And people have seen her or heard of her. So that's why I really like this one, because it's here where I live.
Damn.
So yeah, she was pregnant, and since it was in middle school, she was really young, and she didn't want her parents to find out that she was pregnant, so she hung herself. But
That's
like
twisted.
there was like rumors that students can hear her. Um, they can hear like locker doors slamming and stuff like that, or her screaming or crying or something.
Mm-hmm.
So damn, I was like, damn, that's kind of scary. But yeah, that's why I picked that one for the first one. Um, for my second, I think I'll choose My Deadly Creepy Encounter.
Mm.
That's the one where he was at the park and like a
Like that
shooting. Um, I like this one because like it was like perfect timing. He left 5 minutes later after the whole shooting happened, and I'm sorry making it all about me, but I went to New York like it's about to be 3 years ago. Me and my friend, we went to New York, and when we came back over here, um, there was actually a shooting the next day after we left
one. Oh wow.
in the city of New York. But it wasn't really a shooting, it was actually a car just making really loud noise.
Oh.
But but they still put it on the news because you can see all these people like running and trying to like avoid the shooting. So
Oh yeah.
I can
I
only
remember
imagine
seeing
just
that.
yeah, I can only imagine like if I was there, I would be fucking freaking out.
Oh
I
yeah.
was freaking my life away. But and then the last one will be the strange call. That was the one with the phone, the 666. Um, I just feel like it's just like a scam call. You know, it's not. I mean, it was, I guess, scary, like the whole 666 and stuff. But
Yeah.
I've had so many scam calls that it had like so many like zeros, and it was from Egypt.
Oh what?
And yeah, and I'm just like, what the fuck? So I just think it was just like a scam call. It wasn't that scary.
What does the
I
mummy want with me?
right? But yeah, that was the what I think about the last one. I mean, it was scary, like how his friend didn't have like that he called him like the call log,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's pretty much it. It was okay. I wouldn't say scary, but yeah,
Nothing scarier than a scam call.
to be honest.
Calling about
And
your
then
truck's warranty.
oh my god. And then you get like the Mexican scam calls, you know, where they're like, they call your mom and they'd be like, "Hola tía,"
Oh
and
yeah.
you know
Mm-hmm.
those like they'd be like, "Aquí tenemos tu abuelita secuestrada." ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo?
Sequestrada.
Yes, and then they're in the kitchen, and they're like, "Well,
Like,
my mom's right here,"
wrong
so
number, bro.
yeah, and then they hang up, but yeah, but those, yeah, I don't know, those I.
Alright. Well, there you have it. Those are our stories. They are a little bit tough to come by as far as like scary stories. But we will have a new section coming up where we'll be talking about certain ghost videos and paranormal videos that we see across the internet. And we're going to go ahead and be reviewing that, talking about that, and finding out if it's true or not.
Yes, we're gonna be little ghost adventures.
Exactly. What'd you say last time? Ghostbusters?
Yes.
We're going to be little Ghostbusters. But there you have it. Part 2, Campfire Stories. You guys can follow us on our socials. They'll be down below in the description. And see you next time.
Bye.